Ask any CFO and they'll tell you that finance is about more than just reporting the numbers. It's about communicating the story those numbers tell. Every variance analysis, every board deck, every three-statement model is a picture of the business, taken at different angles, different time horizons, different levels of resolution. Put together, they tell a story that shapes the direction of the company. That's the impact a finance team can make. And as the director of finance or FP&A at a high growth company, reporting directly to the CFO and perhaps managing a small team yourself, you play a critical role in crafting that story. Month-end close, fire drills, budgeting cycles, last-minute requests. The finance leaders we work with tell us the stress is worth it. But they also tell us their jobs feel trapped in the data. A question that should take minutes to answer takes days because you have to manually pull and clean the numbers. When a scenario gets requested mid-cycle, you have to copy the model and change it on the side. When you get pushback on a number in the board deck that you know is right, proving it means tracing a web of formulas and VLOOKUPs. The story is clear, but the ability to tell and defend it is not. Most software vendors talk about speed, faster reporting, faster month-end close, faster budgeting cycles, but we think that's the wrong conversation. Speed is an outcome, not a transformation. And until you remove the barriers trapping you in the data, you're still moving through the same process, just a little quicker. At TypeSwift, we've discovered 3 barriers blocking finance from telling its story. The first one is accessibility. Getting access to your data needs a huge IT investment. Data pipelines, extracting values from your ERP, a data warehouse to store it, complicated transformations that don't live in a spreadsheet. These are all things that require a dedicated business intelligence department. Data engineers, dashboard builders, and ongoing software licenses can cost between $500,000 to $1 million per year. Below that, no executive can justify the investment, which is why finance is stuck in Excel for so long. It's also not just about the cost. Even when you have the budget, this kind of infrastructure needs engineering skill to build and maintain, something that doesn't typically live in the finance team. So the work falls to IT, which brings us to the second barrier, ownership. When a company can finally justify the budget, it almost always goes to IT. The problem is that finance ends up queuing behind everybody else. The deeper consequence of not owning the infrastructure is that you don't fully own the story. Your numbers pass through a pipeline you didn't build, transformed in a way you can't fully trace. By the time those numbers reach you, it's yours to present, but not fully yours to defend. For finance, a function whose entire credibility rests on being the trusted source of truth in the business, that's not a small problem. The last barrier is consistency. Excel is a great tool and reflects the analyst who built it. The logic, the structure, the naming conventions, the workarounds, it all lives in someone's head, not in a system. And when that person leaves, the knowledge leaves with them. The new person inherits the model they didn't fully build and fully trust. Eventually, they have to rebuild it in a way that makes sense to them, which means the underlying logic quietly shifts. So how do we break down these 3 barriers? TypeSwift solves the accessibility problem first. We bring the entire data practice, the pipelines, the warehouse, the transformations, dashboards, the plans, the reports, under a single vertically integrated system built specifically for finance. No BI function required, no engineering team, no competing with other departments for IT resources. TypeSwift reduces the total cost of ownership by nearly 10 times compared to a BI team building it themselves, and simplifies the architecture so that finance can feel comfortable owning and running it. If finance owns its infrastructure and can control how every number moves, it means you can truly own the story. You can trace every number back to its source, see exactly how it was derived, and vouch for every value up to the point it left your system. Now, if any of this resonated, here's the next step I would recommend. Let's book a 45-minute call where you bring your entire stack, the data sources you're connecting to, your Excel models, what your reports currently look like. We'll map your existing process onto TypeSwift's framework and pinpoint exactly where the process is breaking down and causing you frustration. 1 week after our meeting, I'll send you a custom blueprint for what a finance-owned infrastructure could look like for your business. If you'd like your free finance infrastructure audit, click the button below and book a call, and I'll see you there.